National security concerns. The emergence of territorially based states as the political organizing principle in Europe after 46 states, the concept of security for the past 400 years predominantly meant protection from organized violence. According to McNamara, 1968, security includes the promotion of economic, political, and social development in poor nations as A. Means of preventing conflicts, and B. Preserving a minimal measure of global order and stability. Based on the 1992 UNDP Human Development Report by Dr. Madba Olha, the new approaches to security emphasize the critical interrelationship among the most daunting threats to human survival: security of all the people, everywhere, in their homes, in their jobs, and the streets, and their communities and the environment. Security is a national concern that every Filipino must consider is to ensure peaceful existence of the state. It shall be the state's primordial concern as well as to secure its constituents. In view of the above information, it is of prime essence that in transforming the youth into responsible citizens that orientation on concepts and mechanisms of national security be done to effectively carry out the task of community development. Hence, this module was formulated to achieve the said purpose. At the end of this lesson, cadets are expected to: number 1. Understand deeply that the national security is everybody's concern. Number 2. Develop awareness of the various factors that can lead to aggression and violence. And number 3. Encourage other students to be more vigilant and alert of any elements that may cause threats to our national security. Let us identify the following terms. Number 1. Subversion. It is a group of conspiracies seeking to alter an existing system or government through deceit and other unlawful means. Or it is an act of individual or group who seek to alter an existing system through deceitful means. Number 2. Communism. It is a theory which advocates elimination of private ownership. It tends to make the society stateless and classless. Next, agitation. It is a subversive technique to arouse the hatred and anger among people. Next, number 4, propaganda. It is a line of persuasion to influence the belief, emotion, behavior, attitude, and opinion of the target audience. Infiltration, deception, use of legal activities. This is used to exert influence and, if possible, this control of the target groups. Politics. It is an art or science concerning the winning and control over government. Aspect of human security. Number 1. Safety from such chronic threats as hunger, disease, and repression. It means protection from sudden and harmful disruptions in the patterns of daily life, whether in homes, in jobs, or in communities. Such threats can exist at all levels of national and economic development. We have main categories of threats to human security. The first one is the economic security. Economic security or the financial security is the condition of having stable income or other resources to support a standard of living now and in the foreseeable future. Next, number 2, food security. Food security is a measure of the availability of food and individuals' ability to access it. Food security, as defined by the United Nations Committee on World Food Security, means that all people, at all times, have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preferences and dietary needs for an active and healthy life. Next is the health security. Health security is a concept that encompasses activities and measures across sovereign boundaries that mitigates public health incidents to ensure the health of populations. Next is the environmental security. Environmental security examines threats posed by environmental events and trends to individuals, communities, or nations. It may focus on the impact of human conflict and international relations on the environment or on how environmental problems cross state borders. Number 5, personal security. The legal and uninterrupted enjoyment by a man of his life, his body, his health, and his reputation. And the next is community security. Community security, according to the United Nations Development Program, it is a concept that seeks to operationalize human security, human development, and state-building paradigms at the local level. And the last one is the political security. It was defined as the prevention of government repression, systematic violation of human rights, and threats from militarization. This established an agenda that would protect people against states that continued to practice political repression, systematic torture, ill treatment, and disappearance. Human security and human development. Human security, in its broadest sense, embraces far more than the absence of violent conflict. It encompasses human rights, good governance, access to education and healthcare, and ensuring that each individual has opportunities and choices to fulfill his or her potential. Every step in this direction is also a step towards reducing poverty, achieving economic growth, and preventing conflict. Freedom from want, freedom from fear, and freedom of future generations to inherit a healthy, natural environment. These are the interrelated building blocks of human and therefore national security. Human and ecological security. Human and ecological security is a change in paradigm and value, a change in the concept of security from the military phenomena to poverty, ecological degradation, and rapid demographic change. Threats to national security. Many security threats to the Philippines are non-military in nature. Pressing security concerns like terrorism, poverty, and environmental degradation needs to be addressed in an informed and intelligent manner. In its internal aspect, national security relates to the defense of the nation's government against hostile and local elements seeking its replacement with their own government. In this sense, national security refers to the measures aimed at countering domestic or internal challenges to the existing political and socio-economic order. In its external aspects, national security is concerned with safeguarding the state against outside or foreign forces, pressures, or influence designed to conquer it or undermine its sovereignty, or placing under the domination or control of some foreign state or states. In this sense, national security embraces the defense arrangements directed at ensuring the safety of the state against foreign intervention or domination. We have type of threats. Number 1, rebellion or insurrection, a refusal or obedience or order. It may therefore be seen as encompassing a range of behaviors from civil disobedience and mass nonviolent resistance to violent and organized attempts to destroy and establish authority such as the government. terrorism. The systematic use of terror, especially as a means of coercion. At present, the international community has been unable to formulate a universally agreed, legally binding criminal law definition of terrorism. Common definition of terrorism refer only to those violent acts which are intended to create fear or terror, are perpetrated for an ideological goal, and deliberately target or disregard the safety of non-combatants or the civilian. Murder, as defined in most countries, in the unlawful killing of another human being with intent or malice aforethought, and generally this state of mind distinguishes murder from other forms of homicide. Kidnapping and serious illegal detention, the taking away or transportation of a person against the person's will, usually to hold the person down for ransom or in furtherance of another crime or in connection with a child custody dispute. Hijacking or highway robbery, the crime of taking or attempting to take something of value by force or threat of force and or by putting the victim in fear. In common law, robbery is defined as taking the property of another with the intent to permanently deprive the person of that property by means of force or fear. Precise definition of the offense may vary between jurisdictions. Robbery differs from simple theft into its use of violence and intimidation. Crimes involving destruction. It may apply either as a measurable degree of damage up to including a state beyond use or repair, or it may indicate a state wherein such damage is occurring and continuing. Something being destroyed is in the state of destruction. Self-destructive behaviors, suicide, and demolition. This type of security threats could be minimized by having proper citizens' values, commitment to support and act positively in issues related to national security, and concern for a friendly and peaceful environment. We have type of threats. The first one is the internal threats. Our national security is infused with four important dimensions. Internal threats to our national security make up the first dimension. Number one, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, the MILF, and the Abu Sayyaf Group or the ASG. Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, and the National Democratic Front, or most commonly known as CPP, NPA, and DF. The organized crime, grave incidents of poverty, economic sabotage, graft and corruption, severe calamities, and persistent environment degradation. External threats. The growing uncertainties that lie in the regional and global milieu make up the second dimension of our national security concerns. Even a threat of external aggression against our country remains in the remote horizon. Smuggling of firearms and contraband, illegal migration, and the occasional movement of foreign terrorists through the porous borders of our southwestern frontier. Lingering effects of the currency crisis affecting the countries within the Association of Southeast Asian or the Asian countries. Serious economic disparity between rich and poor nations. Ethnic, religious, and cultural conflict. Proliferation of weapons of mass destruction or the WMD. Transnational organized crimes. Natural disasters and environmental issues. And the cybernetic crime.